This video might come off a bit as a downer, but I hope it ends up being more than that. Maybe a step forward towards clarity, maybe a moment of reflection for all of us. I've played Final Fantasy XIV for quite a while, more than some, less than others. If I had to estimate, I've spent well over 9,000 hours in Eorzea. For context, I joined during the tail end of Shadowbringers. I played through everything, from A Realm Reborn up until Shadowbringers, and I was genuinely excited for Endwalker. And to be honest, I loved Endwalker when it launched. It was my first expansion and it felt like something truly special. But for many veteran players, the cracks were already forming. Discontent was growing even back then, and those who voiced it were often dismissed as the loud minority. But that minority isn't necessarily wrong. They're just people who care deeply about the game, just as those who defend it. The difference is that some are more willing to confront the parts that aren't aging well. It hit me recently that my journey in 14 has started to mirror my experience with World of Warcraft. That familiar arc, pouring in time, exploring new expansions, feeling that initial rush of excitement, only to slowly sense something slipping away. With 14, I didn't drop off as quickly, and I kept asking myself, why? Part of it is because I've made content about this game for the past 3 years, but more than that, it's because 14 didn't feel like just a game. It felt like a second life, a community, a place I lived in, and maybe that's part of the problem. That level of emotional investment can become unhealthy, especially when the magic starts to fade. After Endwalker, something shifted. For me and for many others, the storytelling post-Endwalker became hit or miss. Pacing felt off. Tonal changes made it hard to stay connected. It wasn't just about patch cycles or content, it was something deeper. Fracture, burnout mixed with silence, more people talking, fewer people feeling heard, and fewer still feeling together. Now, 14 is a huge game, and with that size comes incredible variety, but also fragmentation. There are countless micro-communities. Raiders, roleplayers, social hubs, ERP venues, fashion-focused players, crafters, GPOs, artists, you name it. And each niche fiercely defends its own space. What's missing isn't content, it's cohesion. Instead of walking a shared path, players often pull others into their lane, or build silos where no dialogue crosses over. In theory, this diversity should be the game's strength, but lately it feels like it's become a barrier. Compare that to games like World of Warcraft or Warframe, where the premise of the game is more distilled. Everyone, more or less, is orbiting the same gravitational core. Raids, gear, progression, grind. So even if you play differently, there's a stronger sense of shared experience. Yes, 14 has glamour, mounts, housing, raids, just like any other MMO, but the way these systems connect players feels more isolated. Take mounts, for example. In Final Fantasy XIV, mounts feel more like a personal flair than social currency, unlike in World of Warcraft where they visibly signal achievements in core hubs. One of the biggest unspoken burdens in Final Fantasy XIV is how socially dependent it is, but how little structural support exists when that dependency breaks down. This game invites you to form long-term connections, free companies, statics, clubs, RP link shells, and these aren't casual lobbies, they're tightly knitted, emotionally invested groups often requiring real-time schedules, creative energy, and mutual emotional labor. The game pushes players towards these bonds by design, but it doesn't offer tools to help manage what happens when these groups fracture, more so with criticism being met with reports for whatever reason due to the terms of service. There is no system of resolving interpersonal drama. No graceful way to step back from burnout without feeling like you're letting others down. And the community, while known for its kindness, often responds to discomfort with silence or dismissal. If you express critique, you're labeled negative. If you detach, you're seen as dramatic. There's an unspoken expectation to stay positive and loyal even when you're not okay. When players have gotten their belly rubbed by the world they live in, by the developers they love so much, they become numb and inexperienced to the roughness of what is found in positive emotions. Love holds painful experiences. Support is often met with disappointment environment, and so on and so forth. And this isn't just life, it's something the game actively constructs through its social culture but fails to sustain with the systems that would make those relationships healthy long term. And as mentioned before, with the dichotomy between micro-communities, players have developed the sense of simply generalizing the criticism as dissatisfaction with what the criticizer wants and not what the game needs, boiling it down to at least we got something instead of nothing at all. Which is true, but when there is potential for a greater product and we end up with a decent one, that's when things could change drastically. This game has a strong reputation of kindness and community, but that can attract players who use that reputation to mask toxic behaviors. People looking for validation, control, or attention can create a surface level of friendliness while stirring drama or dominating dynamics behind the scenes. Followed by this game's slower, narrative-heavy pace also tends to attract more emotionally invested players, which is a double-edged sword. It can lead to beautiful connections, but also to cliques, emotional manipulation, or passive aggression when conflicts arise. Now, it's not the majority, but the few who act this way can really wear down one's love for the space. Now, I am not saying that this game is broken, it just reflects how complex our needs as players have become, and how our needs are no longer met by past systems that used to serve us well. And if we can talk about it, really talk, we might find that spark again. And do keep in mind that I have hardly even talked about other core issues of the game such as combat and content. And again, for clarification's sake, this is not a video bashing the game or anything of the sort. I am simply starting a conversation to learn more about the core issue of this game. So if you have anything you'd like to share or throw my way, I always read my comments. So thank you for joining the conversation. And of course, a huge thank you to my patrons for supporting the channel. Here are the GPOs that I have made for you acidic fellas, and I hope to see you all in the next video.